In a fight that was originally scheduled for November 19th of last year, William Knight looking to make the light heavyweight limit for the first time since 2021 when he takes on Poland's Marcin Prachnio. And Matt, in this matchup, William Knight, I went over to his Instagram. Now, we're filming this Friday.
Is he still just lifting weights?
Oh, he's still lifting weights. So he squatted 545 on Instagram today. Now, I'd like to try and gain his physique. And so that's what I'm trying to do. But for William Knight, taking on Prachnio, Knight's been an interesting case because obviously it was the Muay Thai that led into MMA. He fought Yorgan De Castro on the amateur scene. He had a really well-documented amateur career. And then Knight makes the turn to pro. And he's 11-4 right now. And in those 15 total fights, a large sample size on a big stage. Like, he fought Tafon Chukwe, got finished there on CFFC. He was on the developmental deal with the UFC when that happened. He fought Cody Brundage on Contender Series, got taken down, and he was losing the fight until he came back and he got the finish. You might go, well, Craig came back. It was in the first round. Check the tape, bud. Goes out there and beats Alexa Kammer, beats Fabio Charant, won a performance bonus for that one, beats Alonzo Menafield. The losses to Jung in the UFC, Grecian and Devin Clark. But the big thing, and the reason I say, like, this is the first time William Knight's making light heavyweight since 2021. Not only did he weigh 251 his last fight against Devin Clark, but he weighed 218 for a fight at light heavyweight against Max Grecian in his last, like, light heavyweight schedule contest.
This fight's like that song by Empire of the Sun, High and Low, because I can sell you highs and lows on both of these guys and probably sell you a pretty convincing package of both. Like, William Knight has insane power. Like, so much power, it is insane when he is able to land clean shots on his opponents. The problem is, there is a give and a take to having such incredible power, especially on the feet. And I agree with you. I will be very curious to see what he looks like and whether or not he will be able to make the 205-pound limit, because again, there are some fighters who do those like one-offs up at heavyweight who are light heavyweights, and they look pretty good, but they'll weigh in at, you know, the 220, 225 range. William Knight is not cut from that cloth whatsoever. So I will be curious to see him fighting Marcin Prachnio, but Prachnio's been a tough case to solve in the UFC up until this point because he came over with quite a bit of hype. He looked really good before he did make the jump to the UFC, and he got off to one of the worst starts I think a fighter could with his background, I guess, on his way in.
3 first-round losses.
And they were all very sudden, I would say.
Ankalaev and Slow Mike Rodriguez.
And I would say 2 of those 3 aren't unforgivable, but they would be surprising, I would say, for a guy like Prachnio. He looked good in the Khalil Roundtree fight, though, and that's when a lot of people started turning the page on Prachnio because he hit some big shots early, was able to come on late in that fight. But again, I know a lot of people want to look at that fight as a positive for Prachnio. When I went back and watched that fight, I just asked myself, Khalil, why did you stop throwing? Like, Khalil Roundtree gave that fight up more than Marcin Prachnio won it.
It was kind of like the Chris Curtis fight against Jack Hermanson.
Like, I always go back, this is why I roll my eyes at people who get mad at close decisions. Teddy Atlas has this quote where it's, hey, you lost the ability to argue about the decision because you didn't really fight that well later on down the fight. That's how I looked at that fight. Did Prachnio throw more in the 3rd round? Yeah, I guess, but he still left himself wide open for power shots. The problem was Khalil just wasn't landing them. And against Linz, he fell back into some of those negative traps, but the thing is, Linz is a much more active fighter, so stylistically, I know that's weird. I just think Linz is a bit of a tougher matchup for Prachnio. I just think for me, and again, I can't say this enough times, I have no idea what to expect out of this fight. Like, Prachnio could eat the first big shot and go down in this matchup, or he could be elusive from the outside because he does have a really fun kicking style when he is able to implement his kicks into his combinations, and I think he'll have the edge from that range. I just don't know how he's going to be able to establish that range and really hold it.
No, and if you look at it for Prachnio, he's a Khusein Kai black belt karate champ, and you know that. He's champ out of Poland 2 times, national champion. He finished 2nd in the European competition in 2012, and you see that. I mean, to me, when I look at Marcin Prachnio, if I was to tell somebody off the street, I'd say, okay, I'm going to make a non-MMA reference. People might roll their eyes at that. It's kind of like if your friend had a Sunfire in 2002 and the only thing that they had on their tape deck was Eminem and Without Me.
I was 4 years old.
Round the outside, round the outside, round the outside. That's what Prachnio does. He goes round and round and round the outside, and he throws a couple of nice shots in combination. But the thing that I don't like out of Prachnio in this fight and all the others, what happens when he gets hit or the air around him gets hit?
So there's a reset, and his hands go from here to like he's carrying very heavy groceries from the car.
And then he like backs out and makes a big reaction. And against a guy like William Knight, either he has great counters round the outside or he has big reactions even if the punches don't hit him. What does William Knight like to do? Yeah, he's got a big overhand. Yeah, he likes to go for big action takedowns. What's William Knight's favorite shot? Even go into his bio on his UFC.com site and it'll tell you exactly what his favorite shot is. I just like a steady 1-2. And that's what William Knight really likes. And I swear to you, that's on his UFC.com bio in the Q&A section. So I have a hard time with this fight, folks, because just like a 2002 Pontiac Sunfire, I don't know what I'm going to get day to day.
This has to be said, too. If you have two 24-year-olds fighting each other where they both shown flashes of promise, but it's been kind of a rocky road, we can project them to then get better after those shaky performances that we've seen. Marcin Prachnio and William Knight are not going to show up this weekend, or I guess next weekend, and just become completely different fighters.
It'd be awesome if they did.
It would be, don't get me wrong, but they are very much set in their ways. So I really do agree with your breakdown. Either Prachnio is able to use his movement and his kicks and have some success that way, or he looks like a stunned deer in headlights every single time William Knight lands on him, and he gets finished as a result of that. And those are really the only two ways I see this fight going.
If you're trying to make an accurate prediction on this fight, it's kind of like me at the tables in high school in 2011 before classes on my iPhone 4 playing Temple of Doom, because you're just sitting there. Temple Run. Freak, Temple Run. Temple of Doom. Kalima. But no, playing Temple Run. Because you know what happens, Matt?
Num Shivai?
Well, you never win. You never win. And that's what it's like trying to predict this fight. So you look at the odds in the matchup between Knight and Prachnio, and they're really close, actually.
As they should be.
Knight open at par, -105. Prachnio at par, -120, so those don't jive. But regardless, Prachnio slight favorite, Knight slight underdog. We have a look at the Tapology votes. Surprise to us as they are to you. Did you have an iPhone 4? Did you play Temple Run?
I played Temple Run. I didn't have an iPhone 4.
Okay. Well, what's your guess on the over-under? I'm going to say, you know what? You said it. How about that?
I'll put it right at 50. Who do you think is going to be the favorite?
You turkey. I think William Knight's going to be favored over the fans. I'm going to say over.
Okay.
All right. And it is. So 487 total votes, 70% Knight, 84% by knockout for the 30% out of Prachnio, 63% by decision. Matt, Prachnio has better volume round the outside. Prachnio slowed down after a good first round against Philipe Lins his last time out. William Knight, I have no idea what his weight cut's going to look like, but he can squat 545, and I can't squat shit without a barbell. So, Matt, I have the crumb rubber plates downstairs. My pick's William Knight in the matchup. What's yours?
I also have William Knight. Jalen Hurts can squat 600 pounds, though, so come on, William Knight. This should be a fun matchup for as long as it lasts. Again, these are action-style fighters, so we probably will get a finish one way or the other, but I do think the 1-2 of Knight's going to be able to get through some of the defenses of Prachnio, because Prachnio is not a guy who's going to go out there and fight with his hands up like he's in some Philly shell, so for those reasons, I have William Knight, but if he looks terrible on the scales, or if he misses weight by like 10-15 pounds, I'm going to have a very different opinion on this matchup.
We're going to have to wait until Friday to see what happens at weigh-ins. It's a question mark kick special. Matt, both of us going with the Knightmare William Knight to get the win. You're going to want to keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say.
Let's get into it.